Hey everyone, this is Margalo, and it is Memoir Monday. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about dialogue. Okay, specifically in memoir. I mean, it goes for any type of storytelling, but this is specifically for memoir that we're discussing. So the first thing to remember about dialogue is that it doesn't occur in a vacuum, right? There's going to be some sort of location, some sort of setting, and some sort of context. Okay, so a conversation takes place in a car, right? In the living room, in a restaurant, in the bedroom, wherever it is. There's going to be some sort of lead in. You're going to set the scene, right? For instance, two people are speaking in a restaurant over dinner about that day at work, right? So there's some sort of context there, and we can see the people speaking in the restaurant. We can hear the noise in the restaurant. We can see where this is all taking place, and that gives it some sort of context. Okay. The second thing is that dialogue, especially in writing, in a book, is always going to have some sort of purpose. Okay, so dialogue that you include in your memoir is either going to reveal something about a character or a situation, it's going to illustrate something that you've just said about a character or a situation, or it's going to reinforce something that has already been revealed about a character or a situation. I mean, it could also contradict something that we have been led to believe, or that a character in the book has been led to believe about a situation. But there's always going to be a purpose. When we're going back and recalling memories, we may have a lot more information than we actually need, right? So we're only going to include, when we put dialogue, we're only going to include those conversations that are necessary to convey the significance of the of the scene, right? So the next one is language, using realistic language. This can be challenging, especially for people who are very into using correct English and having everything very proper. But the truth of the matter is that unless you're writing about some sort of conversation that's taking place maybe in a boardroom, among top executives, or in some sort of academic setting, or another formal setting, like some black tie awards dinner. If you're writing just general, the day-to-day, life scenes, most people do not speak very formally. They'd say, I am going to the store now. You say, yeah, I'm headed to the store. Need anything? Yeah, right. Do you need anything? Some people do say that. I do say that sometimes. But very often we speak in a very informal, abbreviated way, which is going to be more realistic in most cases when you're writing. So, of course, the words have to be recognizable as the words that you mean. So we can only alter them so far before they become unrecognizable. But it's okay to write gonna, if that's how you spoke, or that's how someone else spoke, Gonna, instead of going to. And it's all right to leave out words, like saying, need anything, instead of do you need anything? Or even, how many people go around saying, good evening, my darling. Some people say that, true, and if that's how the people in your memoir speak, great, put it in. But most of us just say, hey, babe, or something like that. So using realistic language will be much more believable, and it'll be much more relatable for the reader. And the last thing I'm going to talk about today is, in addition to the realistic language, is inserting realistic pauses, gestures, facial expressions, Because remember earlier I said that, conversation doesn't take place in a vacuum, right? Well, that's also true here in a different way, where, in most everyday conversations don't look like text conversations where you have, okay, words from me, words from you, words from me, words from you, words from me. It doesn't look like that, right? People speak, they pause to think, they pause to swallow, they scratch their noses, they look around, they lick their lips. All kinds of things happen. I raise an eyebrow. So without that, you have to put in every single swallow or blink that you and your other characters in your memoir actually do. But it's important to have those in there because it adds to the naturalness of the scene. So just putting them here and there, it might look something like maybe a character saying, well, that's true. But then again, he narrowed his eyes. Maybe you're holding out on me. It could be as simple as that, right? That change in expression conveys meaning, right? Because it's not just, so-and-so blinked. It could be significant if someone blinked in surprise, but here someone narrows his eyes, right? And what does that usually convey when we see that or read that? Kind of distrust, kind of reconsidering, kind of looking at someone in a new light, like, it might look very different to say, well, that's true, but maybe you're holding out on me. It could be joking, but if I narrow my eyes, it looks like, well, that's true, but then again, maybe you're holding out on me, right? That looks very different, and it'll look different on the page, okay? So remember, the reader only knows what you share on the page, right? They're not sitting in front of you and they're not able to ask you, oh, was that meant as a joke or was that meant, was that serious? So you have to show that in a number of ways. That's one of those things that they mean by showing, not telling, although memoirs are a combination of showing and telling. So remember to consider and start inserting, some of those pauses and gestures and facial expressions. Someone says, maybe it's a romantic scene. Someone says, oh, I love your hair. And, he caressed it. He caressed my bangs before kissing me or something. Or whatever it is. These things happen. There's more interaction in a conversation, in dialogue, than just the words alone. So just something to consider. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. Please feel free to leave comments and questions below. And thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Bye-bye.